All right. We're back. Let's see if we can get some viewers back as well. Hello. Wow. Thank you everyone for popping back in. Let me know how it's looking right now. Better? You're all very forgiving. I really appreciate it. Okay, interesting. I was dual streaming also to TikTok, so that might have been causing an issue. What's weird is YouTube won't let me stop streaming to YouTube Shorts now, so I'm trying to figure out why that is. It's a little bizarre, but okay. All right. Gonna go in and check some of the settings here because I had to restart. Yeah, some things got changed. All right. Wow. Learn as you go. Yeah, there's no way I could have tested for that and realized. Yeah, I always wanted to do pre-show years ago, but I used to be with D&D very specifically, and that was a little bit out of my purview, doing a pre-show. Yeah, they're really trying. I don't think it was the shorts. I think it was the dual streaming, honestly, to TikTok. So, all right, let's. Yeah, the longest short ever for sure. That feels accurate. So, gonna test a couple other things, make sure everything's okay. View in live control room. Hopefully this doesn't mess everything up. And yeah, it looks like we're good. Yay! Hooray! All right, perfect. We won't do that again for a minute. So, uh, it's always fun. Always doing it live. All right, let's get back to it. Hey, we already got a bunch of people coming back into chat, so thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate that. Everything else? Yeah, no dual streaming. Understood. Technology not where it needs to be quite yet. So, yes. Did you stop and restart the stream? I did. Yeah, that's why everyone's piling into this new one. So, yeah, just to recap, and I just kind of want to get into it since it's fast approaching. I'm really excited, and so for everyone who has just hopped into chat, there are spoilers for the previous episode, and this is something I brought up last week, and I'll bring it up again. I thought it was a really great moment to have the gnome be a good guy without necessarily the other shoe dropping. So the gnome's name was Albed Morn. He's the one that we go to the tower. He's the one who has a giant telescope and periscope and is looking around the forest, reporting on the clouds, but also kind of spying on the events that happen on the King's Road and stuff like that. So he is very aware of what's going on. What I really love about Albed Morn, the gnome, is we really feel for this character. They have this welcome home banner up in Gnomish. He has 3 daughters, Sarabelle, Dumoral, and Halandil. And, in a show that has been as dark as it has been for Critical Role right now for Campaign 4, we needed some levity. And not even levity, just we need a reason to keep fighting for this world. And obviously we like a lot, most of the characters that are in the show right now, and other characters are growing on us. But sometimes a kindly old gnome needs to just be a kindly old gnome without consequence, at least for that episode. And what I really liked also in the cooldown is Brennan Lee Mulligan mentioned that, we mentioned the daughters that he's been waiting for to come home. These daughters are out there in the world trying to make the world a better place. And he talked about the fact that he hasn't seen them in 17 years. And if he goes and leaves this tower and goes searching for them, they might show up to the tower and he won't be there to greet them. So he has, in this kind of paralyzed stasis of being a widower and never wanting to leave his home to search for his daughters because they may actually end up showing up if he leaves. So I thought it was a really great moment. everyone thought, the daughters would be dead in a basement as undead or something like that, or some horrible tragedy would, happen within this episode. And that still may be happening the next episode. There could be soldiers, bounty hunters, people could show up to the tower and, hurt the gnome, hurt the tower at some point. That is something we see in narratives all the time. It's a little bit of a trope, but that happens. I like the idea of leaving the gnome alone and seeing the daughters from another table's perspective. I think that's great. And Brennan Lee Mulligan mentioned, you may not ever run into the daughters at this table, but one of the other tables will run into the daughters potentially, and then we have this great thing where us as the audience is aware of the larger story that the tables are not. And I think that's great. So what I'm really excited for this episode is seeing the soldiers table continue to grow, and seeing that relationship with Tyranny and Wikander has been absolutely hilarious. We know that Robbie's character has a lot going on. He grabbed one of the dolls and then threw it into the mud. So clearly he has some unresolved issues with a daughter of his, or perhaps the loss of a daughter is going on. We may get into that. I really hope the gnome keeps on living. It was interesting, also we got great insights, and I hope we continue to get fairy insights from, very specifically Thimble, after that whole mentioning of the fairy, stronghold, not really a stronghold, but it's a meadow called Brook Meadow. The fairy says that Hawthorne's Glade is the safe place for fairies, but not to allow big people in there. And they end up not going to this glade so far. Of course, something horrible could happen. Undead could show up. Soldiers could show up, and they could run back, and then we could explore that whole scenario. But we're getting the sense of the fairy realm, and Thimble even lied to the party, to the entire group, about the conversation Thimble had with the fairy Brookmeadow. I think that's really important. That as close as people are rapidly happening, you have to understand, Fang, the Aussie, only died 2 days ago. So we're starting this episode tonight, and the stream will start, beginning at 7 o'clock. We're starting that episode with only 2 days having passed. People's fathers have had their skulls ripped out of their bodies. Things have happened. People, Octus died and was resurrected again. Theoretically, the first person to ever be resurrected. A lot is happening at all these tables. So, 2 days. This is an insane amount of things to happen in 2 days. It's very, very dense. And if you want to get my attention, super chats really do help. And they allow me to also keep track of what's going on. What do all of you expect to see in this episode, or what are you hoping for? I really hope the gnome doesn't get hurt and the soldiers don't show up and all that stuff. But sorry, checking chat really quick. Yeah, the doll is absolutely coming back as a helpful zombie. That's horrifying. I don't love that. What else really has stood out from the previous episode? We do know that Tachonis, carriages were heading north on the King's Road with the Crow Keepers. Apparently, Thimble knows every criminal in town, which makes sense, including Ablang Howl, who told them, if you go to the Fiddle and Drum and use my name, you'll be able to have a place to stay. So that could be where we're headed next. They're not through the woods literally yet, but we'll see. Do I think they're going to catch up to Teor's son? And I don't know. I don't know if that could happen this soon, but a lot happens in each of these episodes, so I wouldn't necessarily be shocked. But and the whole reason Octus is going here. Well, no, I'm kind of diverging with the Seeker's table and the Soldier's table. So, the Seeker's table, if they do cut to them, they're heading east to the location that Octus had as a vision. Yeah, it has felt like it's been a little bit of time since we've had combat. Um, Last episode was completely combatless, right? Am I wrong? I wonder which table we're with for our Christmas. Oh, that's a good question. I wonder how dark the episode will be for Christmas because these are pre-taped. It's not like you can decide to have a lighter-hearted. I mean, they might have a sense. They might have a sense of when these are airing as they are shooting them. You don't want every character. You don't want a TPK necessarily on Christmas. Um, Will they stick to the main road? I think they're not going to go through. I think they're going to continue to go through the woods instead of the main road. That's my impression. And they've already gone down that route. Yeah, so no combat episode, so we may see some combat today, which makes me really scared for the gnome. But they might get out of there right away. He may cook them eggs and bacon, and in the morning, and then everything's gonna be fine. We're not gonna have a weird Star Wars situation where everyone gets burned alive or anything. Um, And again, links in chat are popping up once in a while for my interviews for the Mighty Nine. I interviewed the cast of Critical Role about the Mighty Nine, and both of those videos are live on the YouTube channel right now, so be sure to check those out. And as I mentioned before, boy, Thimble, Thimble's doing. I feel like Thimble's doing okay. Thimble had a lot of really good roles. Thimble had some fantastic freaking roles last episode, and also great interactions with two criminal-minded characters. But yeah, Thimble gets shoved in a lot of sacks pretty easily. But that's what happens when you have a strength of 3. Sometimes this is how bad roles go. I had a character that was an expert in stealth. At least should have been. Had all their stats is just stealth up for days, and every time I failed a stealth roll, it just kind of happened that way. The dice kind of determine who your character is as time goes on, and that's a good thing to keep in mind. You may want to make the most optimized character ever for certain scenarios, and fate will laugh in your face and take it all away from you. So you just don't know. And other than that, so I again, we're assuming that they're going to stick with the soldiers table, but I do think we're going to have moments where they cut back and forth between the tables, if that makes sense. Especially if there are scenarios where they send messages back and forth. It does make me think that they're going to have to avoid certain spells for this campaign, like sending, even message, maybe things that they should not be using, because those are kind of campaign enders, right? Where do people watch the episode live? So there is no live chat anymore. They've shut down chat for Twitch and YouTube for Critical Role episodes. I have thought about leaving chat open on YouTube, or I may actually end up creating a Discord specifically for Critical Role chat or something like that. So that's definitely something I've been thinking about. Yeah. I've been thinking about creating my Discord channel and creating a Critical Role section for people to be able to chat about the episodes. So we'll see. I think Brennan's doing a fantastic job. I also think this is a really good show to highlight certain aspects of game mastering and dungeon mastering and role playing. It's fun to dissect. It's really fun to also see what Matt's been doing. Playing Sir Davinos, playing a character who can be seen as quite unlikable at moments. But it's going to be a fun character to see an arc with. When you start out with a character that salty as Sir Davinos, that gives you a lot of room to develop that character as time goes on. So I'm having a lot of fun with that. I wonder with what a sweet boy Octus is, if Octus's own trajectory may darken as time goes on. Certainly has a great relationship with Thaisha, but we'll see. Oh, Beacon has their own chat on the channel? Oh, okay. And yes, Beacon has Discord. Okay, interesting. Wow, we have 294 people in this chat. That is crazy. Thank you for joining. I really appreciate it. And again, I love covering Critical Role. I took a little bit of a hiatus. Obviously, I covered Critical Role as much as I possibly could when I was the host and video strategist at Dungeons and Dragons for the last couple of years, as well as D&D Beyond. I'm one of the founding members of D&D Beyond. It's part of the reason why we have that really cool D&D Beyond trailer with the Mighty Nine, by the way. That's the first time. Is that the first time the Mighty Nine were animated? Oh my god. That will be wild. I'm trying to think. I think it was. I think technically we animated the Mighty Nine first. Man, correct me if I'm wrong, but that is absolutely wild in my brain. I remember Sam Riegel. When I joined D&D Beyond, and I was the head of content, and I was asked basically, like, who do you really want to throw everything at? Like, what should we be doing? And I'm like, I loved Critical Role. I had already met Matt and interviewed Matt several times. Matt and I kind of met accidentally, actually, at Emerald City Comic Con, and kind of forged a friendship there, which is why you see all those prom photos of me and Matt, because we got along unusually well and unexpectedly. But then I went to D&D Beyond, and sponsoring Critical Role was really fun. But I'll never forget when Sam Riegel did the D&D Beyond theme song, and I immediately, and everyone did. I think everyone at the company did, and there's like 7 of us at the time. But I spammed our messages like, "This is our trailer. We need to make this. We need to animate this. This is our new theme song." Sam Riegel, as a joke, did the D&D Beyond theme song as an ad on the show, and we're retaping this, we're animating this. That artist has gone on to do things like Blue-Eyed Samurai and a bunch of other stuff, and Castlevania. So it's been a wild ride. I guess I've been covering Critical Role for 8 years or something. So anyways, I'm really happy to be in chat and see everyone in chat. So because when you're covering D&D, you don't always get to cover Critical Role 24/7, or even with a weekly frequency, which I'm getting to do now, because that didn't necessarily make sense for D&D as a company to do that every single week. Now I get to do that. That's pretty exciting. Of course, I'm unemployed, but you gotta take those lemons and turn them into lemonade. That's why we have a Patreon. If you want to support more video content like this, or you want to drop some super chats, that always helps. Don't forget to hydrate, y'all. I'm drinking Coke Zero, so I do need... Whoa! Chris, thank you so much. $20 super chat. Don't forget to hydrate. It is very wise. I can tell you I also will be reviewing them. Yes, I can tell you that. I am going to... Thank you so much, Christopher, for that reminder. I am going to be reviewing the Mighty Nine episodes as well. So those will start to roll out on top of the interviews I've already done. And I have not published all of my interviews, because some of my interviews with the Mighty Nine cast are actually spoilers for a more general audience, and I don't want to ruin things for them necessarily if they accidentally come across my video. But I can tell you nothing right now. But yeah, I'm not even going to give you my opinion of the show, but we'll get to that next week. So it'll be really fun. I think back to this show and back to what Critical Role is doing, I'm so excited. Again, dramatic irony is something you just don't get to capture at a table. And that's what we're getting to see here. That example in the cooldown of Brennan saying, another table may run into the daughters of the gnome. You're meeting the gnome father. You may meet the daughters at a different table. And we'll have this back and forth. And they also mentioned that some of the Kingsmen were going down the King's Road heading south. And there are examples of this where, again, a big shout out to Christopher for the super chat. This is a good example of, Brennan described it as an arrow whizzing by your head and going towards another table. they may do things that set things in motion that cause an enemy to attack another table. There are things they're going to do at another table that will help. Like the soldiers may do something that benefits the seeker's table. This back and forth will happen constantly. So you're going to get a sense of kind of like, you know that a cannonball has been launched out of a cannon, right? And then you cut to where the cannonball lands. I'm only able to work in metaphors for all this, but you're going to be able to see some. I think Brennan is going to lean in, and I would do this too because I did a 14-person game once. You set it up at one table, and then it goes off. The results happens at another table. That is so fun, and we're going to be in on the joke all the time, and that's so fun because it will be new to those tables as it happens, but we'll be in on it, just like watching a film. So this is very cinematic the way this is set up now, and it's going to be a wild 3 years. And that kind of it was a conversation I did have with Matt briefly in the interview about Essek in campaign 2, that you have this villainous character, but you don't see the setup for that the villainous character and how they got there during the events of the show. I mean, of a live game, but within the Mighty Nine anime, you get to see Essek develop along with the Mighty Nine separately at different locations, and that really helps inform you very quickly about what's going on, the plot of the story, stuff like that. And there's an opportunity to do that here, but in a live show. So, yeah, it's like I think Pulp Fiction is probably like the most, I think the easy to grasp version of dramatic irony. But you can like reference things like Star Wars, right? You see Darth Vader in the Death Star or Star Destroyer. Well, he's not a protagonist. He's talking about the protagonist, and he's looking for them, and we're aware of that. And then as the protagonists eventually come to grips with dealing with Vader. I mean, think about how weird this is. For as much screen time as Darth Vader has, how much interaction do the main characters of Star Wars have with Darth Vader? Very little. They see him kill Obi-Wan Kenobi for about 2 seconds and then run away in the Millennium Falcon. Like, it's pretty wild, right? Can you imagine if that was a live stream? Can you imagine if you just saw the main villain of a season, for 2 or 3 seconds, and that was it? That would have been pretty wild. So that's what we get to look forward to in this. I don't have a ton of predictions. It's hard to predict things. I feel like this was a non-combat episode, so we may be getting queued up for a combat episode. I really hope the gnome doesn't die. Sometimes you set up pins only to knock them down, which makes me sad. I hope that doesn't happen. But we don't always get what we want. I kind of think about the state of things. I could see Azune and Davinos becoming best friends. I could see Thaisha and Octus. They're so close together right now. I could see them falling apart. I am worried about Halandil and Fang and Thaisha's son. If anything ever happened to him, there was a vision of Octus's that specifically dealt with an orcish warrior on the field, and that could have been their son. And you have these people that people care about, and that makes, I think that's an entire stream right there. Who do we care about right now on the show? I mean, other than the main characters, we care about Teor Prideshire's, brother. We care about Halandil and Fang's son. We care about Teor's son. We care about obviously the gnome's daughters. I could kind of feel like I don't want to call it a hit list. Sid. I keep spelling Sid wrong. Yeah, Sid. It's hard to. It's a lot of lore. It's a pretty heavy lore dense, and a lot of NPCs to be keeping track of. Honestly, you all help me remember it with these chats. To be completely honest, we care about all the hot characters. I'll remember that the next time I start a live play show. I'll make sure that my character is hot as hell, so I get some type of plot armor. Not that that worked out for some of them. What else? Yeah, anyway, I'm really excited for the show. I think Brennan's killing it. I have been thinking about coming out with a series of game mastering tips just based off what Brennan's been doing, and the things that have actually occurred within the live stream, within these episodes. Because I think that's a good jumping off point for people who want to learn how to run D&D or play D&D. Something to think about. I am actually thinking about running a Daggerheart game, but I don't know who the cast would be. And it's really important when you do a show or any game, you have trust at the table and you have chemistry. And I think that's the single most important thing, and that's the part where we too often fail. One second. I'm going to mute real quick. All right, I'm back. My wife just got home, so I may pause the stream a moment or mute. I'll get like a special be right back type of thing. I also want to like learn Daggerheart backwards and forwards. I'm really optimistic for the future Daggerheart. I really like the system. It's very freeing. Very game mastery and live stream friendly. I have all types of ideas for the weird ways that you could set up, like being able to like line up your fear on the stream can be super fun. I like the weird abacus that Matt had going in Age of Umbra. I'm rewatching that show right now, so I really like Brennan's descriptions of things, and I every episode and every point can be valid. Yeah, Brennan's great at backstabbing villains. I think people will be surprised, honestly. Coming to the characters, when we talk about agency and stuff like that, a lot of what we saw in the overture was set up for the characters. So things like Octus coming back from the dead was something they wanted to explore from the get-go. So that was, we could have easily not had, I think I did to a disservice for all of us if we did not have the overture. That would not nearly been as fun. But I think that was the last semi-safe zone. I don't think anyone's going to die in the overture, but I have a feeling that all bets are off now. So, yeah. Daggerheart I'm finding to be very intuitive right now. So, Todd made... what? Alan Wilkinson says, Todd made Daggerheart, the soul boggles. What? I don't know what that means. I did not make Daggerheart. I'm thinking about running Daggerheart. You know what? It's interesting. It feels like a little bit of an LA-ism. I hear people say hell yes a lot from LA. Brennan says hell yes a lot, and so does Matt Mercer. Hell yeah or hell yes. Oh, I see what's happening. My chat is getting cut off. All right. Yeah, Octus didn't have the best time during the overture, that's for sure. I mean, the character didn't have fun. The player had a great time. Oh, Todd create. Okay, Alan Wilkinson, thank you. I'm sorry. I'm a little bit slow on that one. I was like, yeah, I think it'd be fun. I really think I've been thinking about the world quite a bit, and I'm actually going to start running a 101 game with my wife for Daggerheart. So, but the thing is, you want to be able to pay the cast, and live play shows. It's really hard for them to gain traction right now. Kind of the big games in town are Dimension 20 and Critical Role. That's not a complaint. I love Dimension 20 and Critical Role. So, 1 second. I'm just going to mute real quick. All right, I'm back. There's a lot of live play on YouTube and Twitch, certainly, but like, viewership has gone down a little bit as well. So, it's hard out there for YouTubers. There's also like no revenue. So you're really looking at things like Patreon to help support live play shows and paid cast members. And there's no other way around it, really. Maybe you can get some sponsorships on a live play show, but that's pretty hard as well. So I would probably, if I was to run Daggerheart, I'd be making my own campaign frame. I have a lot of worlds I've invented over the years, and I probably want to adapt one of them. So I'd be using a new campaign frame. I do like the campaign frame of Age of Umbra. I also really like. Oh no! Why am I forgetting? It's the Wild West giant hulking robot one. It's not Borderlands. It's Oh, chat, help me. What is that Daggerheart one? Anyways, I got a really good one. I got a real fun one that takes a lot of the things. And that's the fun thing about Daggerheart is you can find the story that you really want to tell and like create a whole campaign set of rules for it. And so that's why I'm digging in. Yeah, Tales from Wood Creek is really cool. I highly recommend people check it out. I got a big shout out to myself. Wow, I can't believe we have 359 people in here. That's wild. Thank you so much for showing up. I really do appreciate that. It's this kind of Colossus of the Drylands. Oh my god, it's so good. I love it. It's almost like, okay. Oh god, this is wild. What happened? Oh, this is a weird fact. The Will Smith show, the movie Wild Wild West, is very much like Colossus of the Drylands. There's just like a giant mechanical spider and the Wild West setting and stuff like that. Kind of feels weirdly like that. It's not, they didn't take inspiration from that. They have other video games they mentioned that they take inspiration from. It's pretty funny. This is a wild fact I didn't even know. Will Smith was originally supposed to play Neo in The Matrix, and he turned it down. I think he was flat out offered it, and he turned it down to do Wild Wild West. Man, that haunts me. That haunts me in the weirdest way. So, do I think we'll see any guest spots with the cast being this large? I do. I think we should. I think that'd be fantastic. It'd be great to have someone pop in for just one episode and kind of kill it. I think right now we're trying to establish the cast as it is. I think we could lose cast members for all we know, right? Like, not everyone may survive the next 3 years. How wild would that be? I don't want that for anyone. I really, and I have another great interview with Whitney Moore about Tyranny, and also Whitney Moore's history of directing and writing and stuff like that. That's also on the channel. The YouTube channel is just starting out, so we're still trying to gain traction. So I appreciate everyone's support. Everyone popping in a chat like this. If you want me to keep on doing this, if every week. Absolutely excited and happy to do so. And then tomorrow I'm going to do a reaction video, though I did get some feedback that 9 in the morning is a little too early for people. And that might be better if I did the reaction video live stream around 1 p.m., 12 p.m. in the afternoon after the restream. So I think that may be what we do moving forward. But yeah, you can check out those 2 interviews with my 9cast. The links are dropping in chat, and it's on the YouTube channel. Like and subscribe, because there's going to be a whole lot more Critical Role / Daggerheart content coming up very soon on this channel. Todd would be a dope guest on Critical Role 4. I don't know that I have the skills to be on Critical Role. I think I'd also have an anxiety attack, the likes that God has not seen. Thank you for the super chat. Hoping that Todd gets to be a guest on Critical Role Season 4. Wow, that would I think that would be the pinnacle of my streaming career. I did stream D&D for 3 years straight, a 3-year campaign that was wild. Melted my brain every Wednesday. Especially because, Carrie Payne would be great to have on there again. Okay, this pre-show is honestly, yeah. Oh, well, great, yeah. I think we've gotten pretty much caught up with everything that's going on. If they can't throw promo, you know what? I have often joked. People always make these kind of optimized characters in D&D and role-playing games, and I always joke that I'd be happy to play an artifact, which is hilarious that now we know the Taliesin is playing it. The Bolaire is actually an artifact. I always theorized, I'm like, I'd be fine playing a sentient sword. And I think I have, actually, a couple of times. I like playing characters that don't necessarily, like, listen, if you can play, like, a sentient sword and you got persuasion and deception, that's half the battle, right? Like, I love social interactions. I don't need to be able to be in combat and fight. I'm perfectly happy being able to convince people doing weird stuff. I think that what a great acting challenge for 3 years in a Critical Role campaign to be an inanimate object would be so hilarious. Spurt lives. Yeah, Chris Perkins is a friend of mine, and I gotta tell you, Mighty Nine, after a couple of seasons, it's inevitable that we get to the Spurt moment. And if they don't animate that, I'll riot. I'll never talk to the cast again. That's how I feel about that. I remember when Chris went live, and the story behind that is Chris Perkins had no intention of being on Critical Role ever, and Matt just went up to him and said, "Hey, do you want to play a kobold?" and handed him the Inventor Kobold stat sheet and asked Chris Perkins to be on the show. And that's how all of that happened. That was wild. I love those spontaneous moments. Actually, that's the only way I could survive it. If I happened to be in the building and they grabbed me to be in an episode, I wouldn't have time to panic or overthink it, because I have horrible stage fright and anxiety, made worse by the current employment situation that I find myself in. Primus killed by the Todd sword. I like the Todd sword as a term. That's a weird... There's no way we can make Todd cool again. I can't help but notice that a Todd in every film and TV show is different. I don't know that we have any positive representations of people named Todd in cinema or film or even books. That I am currently aware of. We got to take the name back. So that's very kind of Raquel. So what are your predictions? What are you hoping for out of this show? We're 30 minutes out. We're fast approaching. I'm having a blast. It's really it's twofold, because I'm a forever dungeon master and I almost never get to play with some exceptions. Oh yeah, Sweeney Todd. Yeah, still killer though. Oh, if you really want to freak people out, play Hexblade Warlock that is using a razor and use that to smite Eldritch Smite with. If you really want to play, and honestly, if you want to play Sweeney Todd, since you're bringing up Sweeney Todd, I would play a Valor Bard. So Valor Bards get two attacks, and they can use spells as well. And you're a bard, so it's basically the perfect subclass for. Oh yeah, BoJack Horseman. Fair enough. That's a perfect subclass if you want to play, which is also perfect for this game. If you want to play Sweeney Todd, I've been tempted to make a video about characters, but because I've actually thought about, like, you kind of daydream sometimes. Like, what if I was in campaign 4, theory crafting my brain? I'd probably play a Soul Knife with all the social interactions that we see. Rogues are very low in damage in D&D. They're probably the lowest damage class in the entire game, but they can add their psionic die to boost their ability checks. So, you look at, having proficiency in a skill check like deception or persuasion, then you add your psionic die, which could be a D8, D10, or whatever, and then you're adding your expertise bonus. And then what if you're reborn from Van Richten's Guide to Everything? You can add another D6, I believe, to your ability checks, and then you're just murdering every skill check, literally. I enjoy me some combat, but I love social interactions. That's why I like Baldur's Gate 3 so much. I enjoy social interactions so much, and I feel like they really captured the weight of getting a good skill check and what you're capable of in Baldur's Gate 3. So this campaign, I feel like, if you're a fan of Baldur's Gate 3, you're probably a fan of this. It doesn't get as wacky so far, but the moments of levity in campaign 4 have been fantastic when we get them. Just checking out chat. Todd, wait. I got at Todd. Whoa, chat is moving pretty quick. I feel like I'm missing some people adding me. Oh, where'd this go? Thank you again, Alan Wilkinson. Hopefully Todd gets a guest spot on Critical Role 4. Thank you for the super chat. Oh, it's so weird I can't see it. Yeah, Fey Wanderer Rangers are pretty great. Blade, also, well, I like the fact that barbarians can, while they're raging, get advantage on intimidation checks. I also like, the Battlemaster Fighter is just so versatile and without magic, and it's a wonderful subclass. Highly recommend. I have been tempted to play a goblin. So I was looking at Daggerheart and also what's available in D&D. Very tempted to play a goblin werewolf. And the goblin werewolf, when you change into werewolf form, you're a were-warg form. Because wargs look so much like goblins already. I feel like if a goblin was also a werewolf, I like the idea of them becoming a goblin becoming 8 feet tall. This 8-foot-tall werewolf that still looks goblin-y and like a warg, I think is really on theme. I actually made a druid that I didn't get to play, but he was a goblin druid, Circle of the Moon, and every time he shifted anything, he was always goblin. So he turned into a crow, and he had the face of a goblin. Like, everything was goblinized. It was just horrific. I told Amanda Hammond that story, and she thought it was the best thing ever. Again, thank you everyone for hanging out in chat. I really appreciate that. Yeah, basically Goblin Chutney. Yeah, I'm aware of the comparison. What other predictions do we have for the future? So, assuming we're sticking with the Soldiers table, I also love Whitney Moore having Tyranny act like a paralysis demon, just sleeping on top of Wikander. And Wikander is interesting because Wikander's so obsessed with the religion. Still, even though he knows the religion is fake, he seems to be slow to absorb that information, right? Like, he knows it's all been a lie. He's been told it explicitly by his family, by his grandmother. He's been shown his grandfather. He's been shown how weird his father looks now and the source of his divinity. Yet he still believes in this religion. Is fascinating. And this comes up also, Sam Riegel very specifically created this entire religion for the show. 1 second. You going?
Going.
Hold on. I'm going to hit the mic. All right, I'm back. Thank you for the super chat, Kyle C. Love seeing you on an episode of... Yeah, I was in the prequel. Yep, love seeing you on an episode of Tales from Wood Creek. That was super kind of Deborah Wall and her producer and the cast. They actually had me come into Toronto, got to interview the cast, some members of the cast, and be involved in kind of their kind of prequel. And what really it was just kind of like a, hey, look how fun and how interesting Deborah Wall approaches D&D and kind of LARPing, really, because that's what it is. At Todd Kenrick, it would be a waste for Sam to make this his religion immediately. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Sam Riegel just abandoning his religion would make sense. I see him just not letting it go, even though he's been told it's not true. I think it's brilliant to have a character who immediately is told his religion isn't true, and the fact that Sam, we know, has done all this work to make the religion very thoroughly thought out. What if it becomes real through will alone of Wikander, and his blind faith would be fascinating. That's kind of how I play Trickery Domain clerics, that they kind of manifest, and Laura Bailey kind of took that take on Trickery Domain clerics as well, somewhat, because Jester really isn't necessarily getting her magic from the Traveler. Todd Kenrick, why do you think they changed the names of the classes? Okay, yeah, so I did a whole video about them changing the classes. I thought that was unusual on Friday, certainly, and a little bit fascinating. So we can get into that briefly. I think, so one of my favorite things is to watch the show and to break it down and to kind of apply the logic of D&D's classes and subclasses, which I'm intimately familiar with, including like DM styles and rules and all that stuff. And some things are kind of like house rules, and honestly, like I've been professionally dungeon mastering for years, and I get things wrong all the time. Even simple stuff like reactions and counterspell, I'll get completely wrong, and because you just get tired and you're not thinking, and then stuff happens. But like one of the house rules right now is Brennan's got it so sneak attack applies to unarmed strikes, which I agree with. I think they should, but it doesn't work that way in 2024's core rules. You can only do that with a finesse weapon. Sorry. So it might be that they don't want that kind of scrutiny all the time, and they want like a little bit of wiggle room which makes sense for the narrative and they want more dramatic license perhaps than having everyone know what the classes they are or the subclasses. But I also noticed that they did this change to all campaigns for Critical Role, that they changed the official names for all of the campaigns. And largely this was spellcasters. It was almost entirely spellcasters, except for one instance, I believe. And that would be playing a bard. So there could be a lot of reasons. But I don't know. I enjoy breaking things down based off class and subclass. And I'm probably going to continue to do so, because we kind of have the sense of what these characters are based off the rules and the spells that they're using. There's one spell that was straight up not even a spell from the 2024 core rules. It was actually a spell from Ghostfire Gaming, or I can't remember what book it was, but it's a random spell that is not, official D&D, but it's definitely a third-party spell. If I'm talking too fast, let me know. I get kind of jacked up when I'm doing these chats. Yeah, so Wakanda right now, I believe, is a Divine Soul Sorcerer, which I love Divine Soul Sorcerers for a lot of reasons. And I'll explain why. I love taking something, especially in the tradition of kind of like America, Old West up to now, snake oil, salesman, all that stuff. So I like two types of characters, and I've done them a lot with my character Avern. It's, it was the clue spell. Divine Soul Sorcerer, who, theoretically could be the chosen one for a world, but instead decides to sell resurrection. And I do the same thing with Trickery Domain Clerics, where a Trickery Domain Cleric is not getting their power from a god. They're getting their power from will alone, or from the lies they tell, or from chaos itself. I always like to I like to play a godless Trickery Domain Cleric, or one that is pretending to be like a life domain cleric or a light domain cleric. Like, they don't want you to even know what their subclass is. That's how tricksy they are. So I do think Wikander as playing a Divine Soul Sorcerer matches the heritage. He's related to a celestial angel. All of that makes sense. He's cast Lesser Restoration. Now, Clockwork Soul Sorcerer, yeah, I mean, that could apply, but the lucky feat could have allowed him to nullify disadvantage at some point as well. So Clockwork Sorcery doesn't really make a lot of sense, unless the other should drop is that he's a construct as well, which would be completely wild. So I really do think Wikander is based off of Divine Soul Sorcerer, ultimately. So that's what I think is going on there. I can't believe we have 384 viewers. I'm going to have to spruce up this chat and this stream with some cool graphics and stuff. And let me know if you'd prefer, if you could see chat in the stream itself, live. It's certainly something we could do. This is definitely, unlike the reaction videos, which have, not that this doesn't have value as a VOD, but this is 398 is nuts. Let's get to 400. Let's break the universe. Share it on Reddit. Share it on Facebook. I don't know where Critical Role fans are even at these days. I did have this conversation actually with folks that my audience has skewed so heavily Critical Role and Daggerheart in the last 4 or 5 months. I've been genuinely surprised. And that's been really wonderful and kind. So, people keep on bringing up the Sam nullified disadvantage, but he didn't do it necessarily for more than one person. I think he just did it for himself, and the lucky feat can do that. You can grant yourself advantage on something that you have disadvantage with and nullify it, and you can do that with the lucky feat. So this experience that we're doing right now, 405. Holy crap. Okay, well, that's... I don't know how to process that. Thank you for coming here. Thank you, everyone, for being in chat. This is a lively chat. All right, next goal is 5,000. 5,000 by next year. Todd Kenrick, being able to see my chat BS in the video would be nice. Fair enough. All right, I'll test it out. I'll find a way to... I'm sure there's a Streamlabs connector to make that happen, because this is only very functional as a live experience, because we're having a back and forth in chat and kind of chilling out before the episode goes live. We got 18 minutes. We'll hop out of this once the show begins. He also, Azamar, if he's got divine blood in him, he could also technically be an Azamar as well. If he has wings crop out, that's very on theme. And his father shows signs of being an Azamar. He has physical transformations. So Oh, thank you again, Christopher, for another $20 super chat. Holy crap. No, thank you, Todd, for being you. Oh, that's incredibly kind. I appreciate that. You kind of want, when you get laid off, you have all this knowledge in your brain and you just kind of want to be of use. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody, but it's not so much about, well, everything. You do like money because you like paying the bills, but the other thing is just being of use, because it's like being, can you imagine the apocalypse and being the world's best video game coder? Like, you're just like, oh god. Like, what is my value at this point? That probably haunts you. I'm pretty obsessed with Frankenstein's monster. I think we are living in our Frankenstein era. Last year, talking about Frankenstein, holy crap, dude. Guillermo's Frankenstein is my favorite Frankenstein of all time. And I love Victor Frankenstein as an unreliable narrator. Even in the novel, there's kind of hints and indications of what a jerk he really is. They don't go that far in the books, because Frankenstein's monster also does some terrible, terrible, horrible things in the book, including killing a child, framing a maid for the crime. There's lots of awful stuff happening, killing Dr. Frankenstein's bride, who happens to be his sister, which is super weird, or cousin. Frankenstein as a novel is wild. But I love this new Frankenstein. I actually liked, so I am a sucker for horror in general. I actually quite liked Lisa Frankenstein. I know it's super weird and discordant and strange. I still enjoy it because it's Frankenstein stuff. I love it. Frankenstein was great. We got another Frankenstein take with Poor Things. So we are like having all of this stuff, and the bride looks absolutely insane. I think that's Maggie Gyllenhaal as the director. That's gotta be wild. So sorry, long rant, but yeah, we'll focus on the show. But we got a lot of Frankenstein. Last year was all about witches. We're getting really close. We're 15 minutes out from the show. I appreciate everyone who's showed up for chat. I can't believe we got to 403 people. I appreciate all of you so much. If you're enjoying this, I'm going to keep on doing it every Thursday then. I think 403 people is a clear message to keep going. And also, it's something really fun for me to do before I sit down and watch the show with all of you. So I really appreciate it. He doesn't have to be lucky yet. I like this theorizing about what people's classes and subclasses and species are, and a little bit of that will go out the door now that we're not necessarily hard labeling what everyone's class is in the game, and I understand that as well. For me, sometimes it's a bit like watching a sporting event, watching combat, knowing the rules. It's fun. It's fun stuff to like think about. And I certainly build characters this way. I've had characters where they, Legends of the Multiverse, which Brennan was in, actually. He was a Dungeon Master. But, yeah, Dungeon Master for the first few episodes. My character is not an elf. That's all I'll say about that. But, he tells everyone he's an astral elf, but he is most definitely not. I like to have a long con. So when I play a character, I will have something about them that does not get revealed for years, because I love that stuff. And leaving little hints here and there is just my wheelhouse. It's my happy space. So, just checking the stream, make sure everything's healthy again. And thank you everyone for popping back in after having technical difficulties. That was absolutely huge. Whew, that chat is moving around. This is really fun to do. I can't say that I'm surprised that it's fun, but like I almost didn't do this. I know I talked about I think I talked about it in the first live stream I did right before the show began. I did a live stream about like what we can expect from episode 1 about doing this as a pre-show, and I'm glad I finally got a chance to do it and have this. It's been really fun. And again, I've been covering Critical Role for 8 years, so it's been a wild ride. Yeah, if my character's big secret was I was Wood Elf the whole time. Wow, what a terrible mic drop. No one cares. no one's impressed by that mic drop at all. That would be pretty funny, actually. I would die with laughter, for sure. I love that stuff. And so, yeah, I've been thinking, and, we're 12 minutes out. I've been thinking about starting to come out with a series that kind of compares, and from other shows as well. I'm like, hey, that thing happened in the show. Here's a good example of this. This is what dramatic irony is. What I love about the gnome, looking up the gnome's name again, because I have a memory like a sieve sometimes. Albid Morn, my boy, who no one can hurt, or I will riot. You have to populate a world, any world, with likable characters. You cannot have everyone be awful. That includes things like Mad Max, movies, TV shows. You have to have some likable characters. You have to have a world worth fighting for. And so not every character can betray the party, otherwise the party will give up and you'll stop caring. I created a city that was being ruled by a green dragon because they stole like green dragon's wormlings, their eggs. And everyone they ran into in that city, the player characters, ran into a jerk. And then they asked, hey, can we just leave and take a ship out of here? And I said, absolutely yes. That's my fault as a game master. I screwed up. All these characters are mean. They're all kind of evil and insidious. And there's no reason to stay. And so it made sense. I mean, if you're watching Welcome to Derry right now, another good example, you have to like some of these characters or you cannot deal with it. So I like some characters in Breaking Bad, but yeah, I totally hear you. And Dexter burned me out because Dexter was so dark, I just couldn't take it anymore. And honestly, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia was a little bit of the same. Eventually, I just couldn't keep watching the show because when everyone's awful, it just burns you out. So Brennan made a very good point of, not every character can turn into, an undead murderer at the end. That's not a good narrative. So next week, I'm going to do this again right before the show. Yes, I am going to be able to do it next week. Sorry. I'm doing a lot of traveling next week, but I'm going to manage to do this stream as well. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. That really does help. I know everyone says it over and over again. Smash the bell notification like the Tachonis family smashed in Davinos' father's head. Is that too dark? Ring the bell notification like the bell's ringing after Fang got hung. Like... What are horrible ways to remind you to hit the bell notification? I could go down a list. Yeah, hit the like button like you want that gnome to live. Otherwise, he won't. Unless we get 30 likes and a super chat. The gnome dies. I'm texting Matt right now. No, I'm kidding. It's a bit dark. Wow, bro. Sorry. Am I going to PAX Philly? I'm gonna be honest, folks. Philadelphia, I believe, has a massive race happening as well, and on top of that, PAX Unplugged, they jack up all the prices for hotels and airfare, and I just had to make the call not to attend because I can't afford it. I am going to go somewhere more local on this coast to gather some content directly with creators. It's kind of a weird thing of conventions are a great opportunity to run into several creators all at once, but everyone's really incredibly busy and it's really suboptimal situations for doing interviews. And so you end up you can easily spend $2,000 to $3,000 at a convention. And certainly there are ways around that, but like that is me not breaking even, right? Like even if it was somehow managed to keep it under 1,200, that's I am unemployed, so my income is coming from YouTube. I'm trying to get a sponsorship once in a while, and from YouTube revenue, like right here. So I'm not. Long story short, Pax and Plug was too expensive this year. Maybe we'll be able to go next year, but I had to make some tough choices in terms of like travel and stuff like that. So yeah, I will be doing this pre-show next week as well. Tell your friends. Let them all know we are 7 minutes out. I won't begrudge anyone for leaving at all. I think leaving this chat open is a little crazy during the live stream. I don't know if that makes a ton of sense. So I have thought about actually doing a live reaction, but I think that would be a little too wild. Because it'd be mostly me just staring dead-faced at the screen, watching Critical Role. Are you rest teaming? I don't know what that means. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know. And I could have probably thought about like figure this out a little bit. Getting an Airbnb together, stuff like that would really help. That's how we did it at NBC News, for God's sakes. I mean, I had to keep our budgets tight, so I'd get a place. I get an Airbnb, sometimes above a movie theater where they had, E3 events at for cheaper. And I got really good at nickeling and diming stuff. I gotta tell you. Everyone made sure they all took a taxi at the same time, all that stuff. Mix Sparkle. I'll keep track. I'll check them out. Switching to Discord once Critical Role starts. I totally understand. I gotta get to the show as well in a few minutes. So I'm gonna be right there with everybody. I just want to say again, thank you so much. This was so fun. Unexpectedly delightful. I mean, I should have known it was going to be delightful, but I didn't know. I thought I was going to have like 5 people in here with me. Holy crap. That's a wild ride. Yep, we're almost there. We got 5 minutes, folks, and the big show's going to happen. Well, again, thank you so much. Everyone have a great night. Enjoy the show. We'll do a reaction video tomorrow around noon or 1. I believe the second stream of it will be done by then, right? And so I'll see you tomorrow if you want to hang out and talk about and react to this together. And I'll kind of break things down. So take care of each other. Hydrate. Sleep. Get sleep. Good Lord. Sleep is the most valuable thing on the planet. So I'm giving you lots of weird advice that is completely unsolicited. Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind. I don't think I've got a compliment on my voice before, but I appreciate it. Yeah, let's do it again next week. That's been wild. Oh my God, Charles. Thank you so much. So kind with another super chat. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. The super chats are wild, folks. Those really do help keep the show going. I appreciate it. That's wild. Charles S says, enjoy the show. Or else. No. I'm actually, full disclosure, I'm doing dry November. I just need I need a nice healthy reset. I know the holidays can be boozy, so and booze is expensive. I mean tofu and broccoli. I'm keeping things lean. So all right, 3 minutes, folks. Oh, wow. Wick sites hell. Yeah, I got to pop in there. I'm going to leave this up till the last second. I know people are drifting out. We got a cool super chat in there. I want to leave it up for a minute. But right at 9, I'm running down like a crazy person. So, again, appreciate all you. 233 left. We're whittling it down, folks. I think I'll go ahead and say goodnight, and I'll put it on stream ending. And I appreciate all of you. Have a great show again, and thank you so much for all your support. It means the world. Thank you so much. This was just a wonderful experience. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow, and I'll see you next week. Please start a GoFundMe. I do have a Patreon. Yeah, check out the Patreon page. That should have been showing up in the Streamlabs. All right, thank you, everybody. I appreciate it.